This next speaker is also an employee with the city of Kirkland. He's an editor, writer, and communications specialist. He also used to be an editor for a magazine. He's an extremely accomplished kayaker, father, good friend. Please help me welcome Christian Knight. For the wrong bus.
Wrong bus. It was dark when my friend, Sean Lee, pulled his Toyota Tacoma into the Brickyard Park and Rides desolate parking lot. And he looked at me and he said, "Christian, why don't I just take you home? It's not a big deal, it's just an extra 10 minutes down the road. I don't mind, dude. It's cool." But I was resolute. I had decided if there was a time I was going to find out, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests, if I was going to find out whether a person could ride a King County Metro bus with a paddle, a Rubbermaid tote full of wet kayaking gear, and a 9-foot whitewater kayak, tonight would be the night. Before Sean Lee left, he had one final question for me. Why, Christian? Why do you do this to yourself? That was a legitimate question, and it had a pretty complicated answer, actually. I came of age, you see, in a mountain town that was 40 miles away from the nearest grocery store and 60 miles away from the nearest college. I didn't have a car, I didn't have enough money to buy a car, so to get around, I hitchhiked. I hitchhiked everywhere. For my first year at raft guiding, I hitchhiked rivers throughout the state. My first year of college, I hitchhiked 60 miles down to every community college and 60 miles back. 3 hours of class, took all day, sometimes yeah. And I hitchhiked to Stevens Pasquier, where I worked as a lift-off. One of the vehicles that pulled over for me was a black Econoline van with tinted windows. A pervert van. Except when that door slid open, I didn't see a balding man with a splotchy beard and coat glasses staring eagerly out at me. I saw a mini mob of snowboarders sitting on captain's chairs and on the floor, taking straight shots of whiskey and smoking weed out of a bong shaped like Frosty the Snowman. I looked inside that van and I said, "Excuse me, are you guys drinking and driving?" The snowboarders looked back at me, stunned, or maybe just stoned. And eventually the driver said, "No, dude, we're not drinking and driving. We're cruising and boozing." I thought about that for a moment, and it made a lot of sense to me, actually, so I hopped in the van. No, I did not hop in the van. That's dumb. Anyway, the point is, through all of this, I sort of learned that transportation was a source of adventure. A source of adventure. In fact, if you think about it, most of America's great adventure stories are really just transportation stories. Lewis and Clark, Huckleberry Finn, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, they're all adventure stories, right? So that's why I was doing this. The problem was, I wasn't sure if technically it was legal to ride a Metro bus with a 9-foot kayak. So I knew I had to have a strategy. My strategy was to be nice. That was my strategy. I was going to be nice. I was going to be like a yellow lab waiting for its owner to come in the door. Tail wagging. I would be there right at the bus with the door folded open with my kayak on my shoulder, paddle on my left hand, Rubbermaid tote in my right hand, and I would greet the bus driver with, "It's a beautiful night, isn't it, Mr. Bus Driver? It's a wonderful night. I hope you're having a great night," as I would step up and glide through back to my seat. He wouldn't even have a chance to stop me. This strategy was based on a concept I developed over the years, which is to force the other person to change the dynamics of the relationship. Nobody likes to change the dynamics of the relationship. Nobody likes to be mean when you're being nice. The only people who might be okay with this are parents of young children. But that's only because they wake up on the top bunk with a foot in their mouth and Raisin Bran smushed into their hair. So we'll give them a break on that, okay? I'll tell you, this strategy was going pretty well. The bus driver pulled up, the door folded open, I took 2 steps up, I dropped my Rubbermaid tote, I took out my Orca card, and I pressed it against the pay meter. I waited for that glorious sound, beep, signaling that it accepted my payment, and then I turned to go to my seat. except something happened that I hadn't expected or thought about when I was waiting for the bus. And that is, I got stuck. And when I got stuck, I panicked. When I got panicked, I was terrified. I lost consciousness, really. All I knew was there was something pressing against my chest, and there was something pressing against my ass, and I wasn't really sure what it was, so I wrestled with my kayak. And eventually I realized it was my kayak that was pressing against my chest, and the bus driver's shoulder that was pressing against my ass. Eventually, the kayak broke free, and I was able to look down the aisle of the bus for the first time, and that's when I recognized the bus was half full of people, and they were all watching me like those snowboarders, a little stunned. It was kind of humiliating, actually, but then I had to make it back to the back of my seat with my kayak on my shoulder, the paddle in my left hand, Rubbermaid tote in my right hand. Those aisles are not very wide, so as I passed by, I would invariably hit people, and I would say, oh, sorry about that. Oh, that one took you right in the head. Sorry, that one took you right in the head. And eventually, I got back to the back of my seat, and I sat down and relaxed for the first time in 10 minutes. The bus pulled out of the driveway and turned left, going north. Wait, Mr. Bus Driver, aren't we going to the Kirkland Transit Center? Shouldn't we be going south? No, he said. You must have the wrong bus.